It is Minneapolis. We're watching it.
Dontae's Boxing Nation. Dontae's.
Dontae's Boxing Nation. Keep watching. Bye.
Dontae's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Congratulations to Mikey Garcia. He is definitely back. I was definitely looking forward to watching this fight. This was a great card. Thanks to Al Heyman again. We had Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton in the main event. We had, was it Tony Harrison against Robchenko, and which was the first fight. And Tony Harrison, he pulled off the upset, knocked out Robchenko. Then you had Mikey Garcia, which was the second fight on the card, going against former champion Elio Rojas. Once again, I want to reiterate the point that this was a stacked, competitive card from beginning to end. And let me elaborate on that, because when it comes to Al Heyman and the PBC series, if you guys haven't noticed, the majority of fights on each card, they are always evenly matched competitive fights. Once again, case in point, the card opens up with Sergey Robchenko versus Tony Harrison. You have two fighters, they both have a similar record, and they're both prospects going up against each other in a 50-50 fight. In fact, the undercard fights, both undercard fights, Garcia versus Rojas and Robchenko versus Harrison, both of those fights could have been main events alone on ShoBox or even Showtime. So that's the type of matches we get when it comes to Al Heyman in the PBC series. Now, before I assess Mikey Garcia's performance, I want to say once again, I didn't get to watch this fight live, unfortunately, because I attended the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame last night, and I ended up watching this fight damn near about 5 or 6 in the morning, and then I went to sleep. So let's go ahead and talk about Mikey Garcia's performance. So Mikey Garcia, he gets a 5th round knockout over former champion Elio Rojas. He knocks him down about 4 or 5 times. Now, if I just told you that alone, you would say, oh man, that's a flawless performance. You know, I mean, how could you criticize a performance like that? But I'm going to tell you guys, just like I told you before, I've seen Deontay Wilder knock fighters out in the 1st round. And I criticized, I mean, this was earlier, you know, before Deontay Wilder became a champion, but I've criticized his performances where he knocked guys out in the 1st round. Wilder versus Sergey Lakovich. There were things in that performance that I deemed as flaws, and I criticized Deontay Wilder for it. Once again, Deontay Wilder, he's definitely improved since then. Deontay Wilder is a fighter that continues to learn on the job. He started late in this sport. He's not like a lot of these fighters who've been boxing since they were like 7 years old. But anyway, going back to Mikey Garcia, I'm not going to use the word cons, but I'm going to say there were pros and there were flaws in this performance with Mikey Garcia. One of the first things I want you guys to note is Elio Rojas, he was the smaller fighter going into this fight. Matter of fact, he even said after the Mikey Garcia fight, he's going back to 130. We know Mikey Garcia, he fights at 135, but he can easily make 140. Okay, so let's look at the good news first when it comes to Mikey Garcia. Once again, like I said, Mikey Garcia, he knocked down Rojas 4 or 5 times. Clearly, Mikey Garcia's power is still there. His speed is still there. He did a great job applying pressure, cutting off the ring. He was very accurate with his right hand. He landed some monster right hands, uppercuts, real good 1-2s. I've always said Mikey Garcia has a great 1-2 combination. Combined with his power and speed, it makes Mikey Garcia a very dangerous fighter. Okay? Now, That's the good news. Now we have to talk about the flaws. You know, when it comes to separating a good fighter or a good champion from a special fighter, right? I mean, someone who really separates himself from the pack. One of the attributes that special fighters normally always have is the great neutralizer. Special fighters usually are great at taking away a fighter's best weapon and disrupting their rhythm. To give you some examples, I think of fighters like Bernard Hopkins. In his prime, he was great at nullifying his opponent's best weapon. When he fought against Tito Trinidad, he completely took Trinidad's left hook away. He took both his left hook and right hook away, all his power shots. Of course, fighters like Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward come to mind. Guillermo Rigondeaux come to mind. They are great at taking away your best weapon. When it comes to special fighters like that, for example, if they get hit with, let's say, a good left hook or a good right hand, chances are you're going to have a hard time landing that shot again on someone like a Floyd Mayweather or an Andre Ward, because they're going to take your best weapon away from you, right? We've seen this time and time again in so many fights with these level of fighters. But when it comes to Mikey Garcia, he was not able to nullify Elio Rojas's best weapon, which was his right hand. And I found that a little disturbing that Elio Rojas, he was able to land that right hand flush the entire night. Mikey Garcia never learned how to adjust and slip that right hand. These are things that Mikey Garcia, he could possibly work on and he can improve on. But I'm telling you that if Mikey Garcia is getting hit by Rojas's right hand like that, what you guys have to understand is Rojas was not the cream of the crop, okay? Rojas was not one of the best fighters in the division at 135 or even 140. When it comes to Mikey Garcia fighting under the Al Haymon banner, you guys have to understand, Al Haymon, he has a bunch of killers signed under his roster or to his roster. He has a bunch of undefeated killers, especially in Mikey Garcia's area code. I commend Mikey Garcia because he says he wants to fight the champions. He wants to fight the best. There's no doubt about it. Mikey Garcia, he has a lot of strong attributes that can sometimes make up for his flaws. But when I think of fighters like Robert Easter Jr., Richard Comey, who's actually on a collision course to fight against Robert Easter, two massive power punchers, undefeated power punchers going up against each other. I believe Richard Comey is from Ghana. But you have a lot of lions out there that are much better than Elio Rojas. And once again, if Rojas, who was a smaller fighter than Mikey Garcia, if he can land those kind of right hands on Mikey Garcia, if Mikey Garcia doesn't learn to adjust and work on his defense, he's going to have some serious problems against some of these young lions in the lightweight and super lightweight division. From Robert Easter Jr. to Terrence Crawford at 140, Francis Barthélemy. Hell, I even think Victor Postal versus Mikey Garcia would be somewhat of a 50-50 fight. I think I would probably lean towards Mikey Garcia in that fight, but that would be a good fight for Mikey Garcia. And, you know, once again, I'm under the impression that Mikey will move up to 140 pretty soon, so a lot of names I'm throwing at you guys is fighters from 135 to 140. There's a lot of fighters I haven't even mentioned, but like I said, Al Haymon has a lot of young, tough monsters in his stable. And Al Heyman, he puts these fighters in there tough. He puts them in there with tough opponents. Think about it. When Julio Cesar Chavez signed with Al Heyman put him in there with Fanfara. And that's the first time we seen Chavez get knocked out. When Miguel Vasquez signed with Al Heyman put him in there with Mickey Bay. Mickey Bay pulled off the upset. We've seen Adrian Broner get thrown in there with Sean Porter. We've seen Keith Thurman get thrown in there with Sean Porter. We've seen Danny Garcia get thrown in there with Lamont Peterson. So when you're fighting under Al Heyman's banner, you will be tested. But I truly believe, and this is just my own opinion, I truly believe that Al Heyman, he basically tells these fighters, listen, this is not like other promotional companies where you have to worry about losing and then you go all the way, to the back of the line and you got to wait in the line again to get another shot, etc., etc. When it comes to this organization, even if you lose, you're going to get the same opportunity that you would have gotten if you were still undefeated when you're with this organization. I truly believe this is what Al Heyman tells these fighters, because the fights that Al Heyman was able to put together, I don't think we would have ever seen those fights if those fighters were promoted by other promoters. When it comes to, I don't think we would have ever seen Broner versus Porter if it wasn't for Al Heyman. We probably would have never even got to see Thurman versus Porter if it wasn't for Al Heyman. Hell, I believe that if Al Heyman was promoting Golovkin and Canelo, I believe we would have seen that fight by now. So let me digress and go back to Mikey Garcia. Now, something else, and this is just me, but I'm actually more impressed with a fighter when they are a tough critic on their own performances, right? For example, when Floyd Mayweather, when he fought Maidana a second time, if you were to compare Floyd Mayweather's performance against Maidana in that rematch to all other fighters, you would say that's an A+ performance. He dominated Maidana in the rematch, right? But when they asked Floyd Mayweather, how do you rate your performance? You know what he said? I give myself a C. I could have done much better, made a couple mistakes, etc., etc. To me, that tells me that type of fighter, he's a perfectionist. He wants everything to be perfect so he doesn't make a mistake like that against the wrong type of opponent in the future, right? But when they asked Mikey Garcia, when Jim Gray asked Mikey Garcia, how do you assess your performance? How do you rate your performance? Mikey Garcia, he said, oh man, I thought I did real good. I thought I did real good, etc., etc. To me, that makes me feel that Mikey Garcia, he feels it's normal for him to get caught with those right hands. Like, that's pretty much his style. And, if he feels it's normal for him to get caught with them right hands, that's okay. But once again, you have to look at it this way. If Rojas can catch Mikey Garcia that easy, then how easy would much better, stronger, faster fighters be able to catch Mikey Garcia? That's how you have to look at it. So I truly believe that Mikey Garcia, he's in a dangerous ass jungle with some serious lions right now. And it'll be interesting to see how things play out. You have Mikey Garcia saying that he wants to fight the champions. We'll see, man. We'll see how far Mikey Garcia can go. I want to ask you guys a question. Do you guys see, if Mikey Garcia is fighting some of the toughest fighters on the PBC stable, how many of you guys see Mikey Garcia remaining undefeated for the next 2 or 3 years? That's pretty much all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.